Well, hello there. Welcome back. It's been a while, but Duke and Dave, we're back. We've got some updates for you to share. We haven't posted a video in a while. Started my old job back up about 2 weeks ago, so that takes a lot of time during the week, but we'll go ahead and walk you around, show you some updates and some of the projects planned for this weekend. Well, it's a nice sunny Saturday morning. We had some rain last week that we had about 2 days with a decent amount of rain, so the lake level was getting really low and dry. It raised a couple inches, but could still use quite a bit of water. But the rain was a nice surprise last week. Not really a surprise, but nice to have some fresh rain. I mentioned in the intro that I started work last week, so my work not only sent me a laptop, because I was just expecting a laptop in the mail, but they sent me 2 giant monitors, a keyboard, mouse, a docking station, everything I need. So got a nice work setup in here. And out here we've got some guineas. They're growing up pretty big. About 2 weeks ago I put the guineas in with the chickens in this big pen, and they get along well. The chickens always come in to roost at night. The guineas did for the first couple days, but once their wings got big enough, they like to all perch up on this PVC pole at night. They outside of the coop, they just fly up there. The chickens go into the nesting box, but here, chick, 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 chick. They really like their treats, so here you can see there's 12 small guineas, 3 big guineas, Miss Hen, and I've got 7 chickens. This one's kind of hesitant to come in. I don't know where the other ones are, but these birds have all grown up pretty big, and they're doing good. One of the biggest things that's changed since my last update was I got a new camper. So my old camper's there. This is the new camper, and it's a 4-season camper. So this is what I'll be living in this winter. I was just going to live in this camper, but there's a bunch of electrical problems. The heater doesn't work, the hot water heater doesn't work, and the mice that have made their nests in there, without airflow through the camper, it kind of gets musty in there. So got this one here. Last Sunday got a 4x4. This is going to help me. My trash can is up and down the mountain 4x4 trail road, so when I need to bring trash down, I've got a ATV for that. And I'll also probably be using it for pulling some dead trees out of the wood to bring down for chopping up for firewood as a backup just in case. Right here is a bunch of 2-inch rodent resistant insulation. I have found that the chickens like to peck at it, so I need to move this away from the chickens pretty quick. But this I plan to put on the underbelly of the camper as better insulation for the winter time, and then also around all these cavities, these doors, when you open them up, there's a bunch of compartments inside. So I was looking at other people winterizing campers, and that's one of the big things they said helped a lot, was to put insulation in front of these doors. So I'll be doing that as well. But it took a while because my ground, this is the most level spot that I have, and even with that I had to put it on 3 of these cement pavers. So it took a while to get that leveled out. But if we open the door, you can see I got a level here. Forward to back is nice and level. And side to side is nice and level. So that took a while to get everything leveled. Once it was leveled, I put down the jacks here and up front as well. So next thing to do is to get water and power to the RV up here. My last set of videos was building this 8x8 insulated shed, and that is all done. We'll do a quick walk around here. So the shed is done, but I have to move all the electronics from my shock shack into my shock shed. So I haven't done that yet, but I wanted to know where my new camper was going and get all that worked out. And then my water, right now, all the pressure that I have comes through these filters, but the water pressure is because I pump water 300 feet uphill that way, and that's not going to work in the winter. So for this weekend, some of my biggest projects are to come into this newly built insulated shed, which feels really nice and cool in the heat of the day, and then if it's cold in the morning you walk in here and it's warm. So I know the insulation's working. With the rain, there's no leaks or anything, so I did put these little lights in here. They're just magnetic little switches for now. Once I get my battery banks and stuff moved in here, I've got more lights right here that I can hook up to this converter. It converts my 48 volts to 12 volts. They didn't have many options for 24 volt lights, so these are 12 volt lights. I just hooked this up to my 48 volt battery banks, and then I'll be able to power those and any other 12 volt stuff. But the biggest thing I have to do this weekend is hook this up. This is a pump. It runs on 110 volts. But what it's going to do is pump water from this water tank into this little bladder, and it pressurizes it so that I don't need the gravity feed anymore for water pressure. And then once I have that done, I have a brand new reverse osmosis drinking water system. So it's the water I'm going to pump from the lake into here, or the spring into here. Then I'm going to pump it from the spring through this reverse osmosis system into these potable water tanks. And that's going to give me clean drinking water that I can then put into the potable water tank of this camper. This camper already has the 12 volt pump that pumps from the potable water tank to the shower, the sink, and all that, the hot water heater, and all that's working. So I just need to get clean water to my camper. So to do that, I pump what used to pump to the top of the hill. I'm going to cut that hose, pump into this tank. That's going to be lake water, spring water, needs to be filtered, so it'll go through the reverse osmosis, or through the pump to reverse osmosis to the tank that I can dump in my potable water. But the other thing I got is here. This is my hose. But I got a freeze-proof outdoor spigot. So when I'm not pumping water through the reverse osmosis, I need water outside the shack for feeding my chickens, anything I need water outside. So I'm going to hook this up to this pump, and I'll be able to have pressurized water that's freeze-proof in here through my wall. So I got to hook that up today as well. And then my hose that goes from my current water filter to the camper wasn't long enough, so I had to buy some more potable water hose, specifically for RVs and potable water. And then my electricity, I did test it out. I had to buy a new extension cord, 30 amp extension cord that goes up to the RV. And I did test it out just to make sure, plugging it in down here. I unplugged my current RV, plugged this one into there, and it does work, and it's enough that AC, it does power the AC, so it worked on this camper with the AC, so I was hoping it would work on there, and it does. So I do have power, but it's not going to be coming from this shack because the batteries are supposed to stay above freezing temperature, and when winter comes, I need it all to be in the insulated shack. So I don't think I'll move all the electronics today, but I do plan to hook up that water pump and the reverse osmosis filter today, and maybe start on that insulation on the underbelly of the new camper. So yeah, that's about it for updates. The turkey vultures lived in that cave up there. They grew up and were able to fly the nest, so they stuck around for about a week. I would see them in the trees. They would fly from treetop to treetop. But they finally got comfortable enough and good enough at flying that they've left the cave, and I haven't seen them in the trees, so they went off with all their friends. So turkey vultures have grown up and moved out, and now I just have a whole bunch of other guineas and chickens, and that's it for birds. I got some hummingbird feeders here. I get a lot of hummingbirds, about 4 of those I've seen at one time, so the hummingbirds are very active. But that's about it for updates. I may or may not record one of my projects on the water pump and the reverse osmosis filter, but that's an update for Duke and Dave. Duke, say hi. Here we've got a buck and a doe in the night. Here's the doe and the buck in daylight. Close up, this buck likes the camera. Here we got a bobcat, a raccoon, a fox, and a tiger pig.